What you want to do is you want to scale problems. You want to 10x your problems. You want your problems, rather than having 6 bad people, you want to have 6,000 bad people. Because now you won't even know their names, man. You'd be like, there's another bad one, there's another bad one, and another one. Amazon's got, I don't know, a couple million employees. How many of them you think are bad? A bunch. They still make a lot of money, right? Welcome to 10X land, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about being unbreakable. Let's talk about what's going to happen this year. I think fear, uncertainty is at all-time high.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you completely. And I think it's going to be worldwide. It's going to be bad news everywhere. And this can either be the thing that breaks a company or an individual, or gives people reasons not to get in business. But the truth is, as you and I both know, this is where wealth is created. This is where opportunities and windows open. And I'm hoping that your audience and my audience takes advantage of this time. I know I'm going to be there educating people, helping them learn how to take advantage of this.
Yeah, and I know that it all begins with the founder, the owner, the mindset, right? Money and mindset.
Right.
Let's begin with that first.
Yeah.
So like, what needs to happen?
No, I agree, man. It starts right here. Like, you know, I always say, I tell my team, like, we're going to grow through this. Now, I can't just make that decision and keep it to myself. I have to share it with them, and then I got to keep selling them on that, because I know that when they're not with me, they're going to get pounded by the media, their family, their friends, Instagram, all this misinformation coming in, other people with other agendas. You know, the government or the politicians, or where the same problems all over the world, right? So when they go home, or on the weekends, or they go home at night, they're getting bombarded with this information. So the next morning I gotta be like, hey guys, we're expanding. We're not gonna contract. So I think, and I agree with you, the mindset, it's not some decision you make once, but you gotta keep making it.
Again and again. And here's the thing. What is a mindset or belief that you have that you feel most of the time people disagree with you on?
Well, I think a lot of people think that I'm a positive person, and I'm not. Okay, this has nothing to do with positivity or motivation. I'm not like, you know, Mr. Beat my chest. I'm excited, and I'm gonna see myself through this because I'm gonna will myself through it. No, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm gonna do something. What I'm gonna do is do something. I am going to make a call. I'm going to send out an email. I'm going to follow that up. I'm going to build a team that can do the same thing. Like, I'm going to win on action. And it doesn't mean I'm going to outwork you. I'm going to outresult you. So, and I'm not trying to outresult you, by the way. I'm just like, I need to get results in the marketplace. So I remember Gary Vaynerchuk was in my studio once, and he was talking about, he's like, I'll outwork you. I'm like, bro, we just met. You don't know me. I don't know you. I don't know what your work ethic is. I don't know what you do. And there's no way you can know whether you outwork me or not. And by the way, it doesn't even matter. What matters is, do we get results? And so what we've been successful with, this whole 10X thing, is about, hey, I am going to set a target 10 times higher than what I need for myself. And I'm going to do whatever I have to do between now and the attainment of that target to get that. That is not a mindset. It is a decision, but it's not some positivity thing or enthusiasm. Like, I think people mistake that. I think that's to answer your question.
And speaking of this 10X thing, so did you strategically work towards doing that as a brand? Because 10 years ago, I remember I was in a marketing event.
Yeah.
And that event, maybe it was like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It was called 10X something, but it wasn't by you. Did you strategically create?
No, what happened was when the global recession happened, the last one, 2008, 9, and 10. I almost went broke in that process. I was down to like $2 or $3 million. So some of you are thinking, oh man, I wish I was down to my last 2 or 3 million. But I had accumulated over 25 years like $30 million. And it all went away in this one event. And I didn't have anything to do with this event. Like, I was doing all the right things, saving money, IRAs, 401ks. You have those over there?
Yeah.
Your retirement accounts. Yeah. And I was saving money. I had months, years of emergency money. And I built a good brand, but not a big brand. And so I watched all this money in a period of like 18 months, just literally disappear. 2 businesses were cut in half, like a lot of the world. And I went into my office and my wife says, why is this happening to us, you know? And I said, you got to stop spending. We had a baby on the way. Our first baby was on the way. I was thinking about selling my house to solve my problem. And I said, I have to find out what I did wrong. I did something wrong. When bad things happen to you, you can blame the rest of the world, but that doesn't fix my problem. What fixes my problem always is, what did I have to do with this? And I sat down and I looked at it, I said, what did I have to do? And the TV was on, I'll never forget this. And I kept hearing them say, too big to fail. They're too big to fail. They're too big to fail. And I was like, what? I'm not too big to fail. I was a little tiny guy. And I ran into the breakfast room with my wife and I said, I know what I did wrong. And she's like, what? I said, I didn't go big enough. And she's like, what does that mean? I said, next time we're gonna go 10 times bigger. I need 10 verticals. That's where it came from.
Wow.
So it really came from almost a therapeutic session of like, what did I do wrong? How did I create the situation? And it was that I hadn't gotten big enough. And I remember, not to carry this too far, but I remember a guy telling me years before that, about 4 years before that, his name's Phil. And we were doing a men's workshop and he said to me, he's like, bigger's not better. And that's when I quit growing. That weekend I quit growing. My business was growing, I was doing great, I was building a brand, and he's like, bigger's not better. And I took that piece of information as real, and I quit growing. And that is why I almost went bankrupt in 2008. Had I continued to 10x my brands and going across 10 verticals, the one industry I was in got slaughtered. Had I gone to 10 industries, 5 of them would have got slaughtered and 5 of them would have still been doing well. And so that was only 12 years ago, man. Like we wouldn't have met. We wouldn't have met if I wouldn't have 10x'd my life and my business, and my real estate, the verticals we're in, the audience. I think we had maybe 100,000 people online. There's 15 million people that follow me online. So 10x is a real thing.
By the way, guys, today's entire theme is about being unbreakable. And we're going to be covering 5 different pillars. That was number 1. Number 1 is like the mindset. It all begins with you. You are pretty much the bottleneck of your entire business.
100%.
And here's the thing. We're going to be talking about this challenge that we have coming up in a second. We still have 4 more pillars. Let's begin with the next. Let's talk about the next one.
Yeah. So let me just go back on this decision thing because like this guy, he's got 1 million. What do you got? 1 million followers?
Yeah, 2.1.
Like his goal, 2.1 million. His goal would be to get, hey, I want 21 million followers. Now that seems like if you've never done that, it's like, oh my God, that's a lot of followers. But there's 8 billion people on the planet. So for him to build an unbreakable brand online, he has to continue to grow it. You guys have to make this decision and you got to get rid of all this thinking to stay small or fly under the radar. All these things we're told, you know, like in Australia, you don't want to be the highest poppy flower or whatever. And you know, you don't want to get too big because people are going to attack you. You have to get big and you have to scale. So number 1, you got to make that decision.
That's definitely true, especially in Asia. In Asia, from our educational system, parents, upbringing, society, we've always been told, you know, don't stand out. You're going to conform. That's why we have uniforms. And that's why it's a big shift.
Yeah, be seen and not heard. But if you look at the wealth in Asia that has been created is because of people that think outside this box of rules. And they're like, no, I'm gonna get so big, bro. They use debt. They break every rule that the middle class, or basically the conformed class, really is what it is, a conformed class of people that are meant to stay in their little zone. You know, if you've ever heard that, stay in your lane. I don't want to stay in my lane. I want to use the whole highway. I want to use all of it to get where I'm going. And so that first pillar that you're talking about, the decision to scale in 2023, you have to figure out how to scale your brand. If you work for an individual and you're like, well, how can I scale? I work for somebody else. I'm a receptionist or I'm an assistant. Okay, but you could still scale that. Because if you don't scale that, you're going to be stuck in that position. Like I've scaled and exited every single position I've had, from sales guy to manager to CEO. I don't want to be a CEO. I don't want to be the boss. I hear people, I'm the boss. They got the little boss t-shirt on. I'm like, I don't want to be a boss. The CEO of Coca-Cola last year made 50 million. The number 1 investor in Coca-Cola, Warren Buffett, made 500 million. And it was all passive income. So wealth is created because of investing. So you want to keep scaling. So you want to scale from receptionist maybe to, okay, I'm a waitress now and I'm getting tips. And I want to scale out of that. I want to exit out of that to like, okay, I own the restaurant now, or I'm a partner in the restaurant and I'm getting profits. At some point, you want to own 500 restaurants. So
step one, mindset,
Yeah.
begin with that decision that you're going to scale,
Yeah.
play bigger
and
rather than pull back.
And you have to. You don't have a choice. You don't have an option. 2.
2, marketing. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about like how you do it strategically. So here's the thing, like I've seen you on the Grant Cardone on social media.
Yeah.
The Jets, the
Yeah.
Richard Mills.
Yeah.
I've seen you
The Paddocks.
on your-
and the-
on-
what do I
on-
got? Yeah.
I've seen you on stage, but I've also seen the side of you off stage. I've seen how you're like with your kids, with family.
Yeah.
And I've seen these different aspects of Grant, right? And I think this is something that social media don't see. I saw
Yeah.
that very different side of you, and I was extremely touched by it. So, where do you draw the line between knowing like this is what I need to be doing for marketing, for social media, because that's what's going to get me the likes, the attention, to stop the scroll,
Yeah.
versus drawing the line of, okay, this is where I'm going to draw the line.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting question. I first of all, I don't look for likes and I don't look for followers. I'm looking for frequency of content. Like I very rarely look at, and look, the way Instagram is today, you're going to have the thing bomb with spam anyway. So it doesn't even matter. People used to look at all their comments and I'm like, what are you looking at, dude? That's not the point. The point is, are you getting a message that frequently, like that, the old thing about drop the rock in the pond? Well, it's going to ripple out all the way to the edges. But if I keep dropping rocks, I'm going to literally change the edges. I can literally change the size of that pond because of the frequency. And so with social media, that's why the frequency to me is the most important thing. It's not followers, it's not likes, it's not comments. Shares are important. So like I want to see somebody share something. Nobody's going to share an ad. But when you go on Instagram, you're like, hey, I'm going to share this interview. 3 things that people can do to be unbreakable in 2023. Share it with your uncle, your aunt, your mom, your dad. They're going to need this information. Without there being an ad embedded, that can get shared. Collaborating with other people can get shared. Marketing, I didn't know this until I was probably 50 years old, 51, 52 years old. And I thought sales was the most important thing because I needed money. And it was important to me. I needed money. I needed to be able to pay my bills. But the problem is the best companies in the world are not good sales organizations. They're great marketing companies.
Yep.
And so I would just tell everybody, man, if I made one mistake in my whole career is I didn't market enough.
So one more slice before we move on to the third one.
Yeah.
I guess to a person, to typical business owner or somebody that's listening to this,
Yeah.
you're thinking to yourself, but unlike Grant, I don't have this personality. I'm
Yeah.
more of like, I can give content, but it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Should the typical person work on being more polarizing, more controversial, and doing that intentionally so that it gets
Yeah.
more shared?
Well, what I'm doing basically is I have like 8 buckets that, and we talk about this in Unbreakable Business over 5 days, is I have 8 buckets that I'm going to share information on. And family, you brought up my family. I'm going to share my family. Why? Because most people have families. 2, I'm going to share my health, my own trouble with taking care of my body and finding time and balance. Okay, all the things that people are concerned about. I'm not always talking about my business. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm trying to get people to be like, hey, I like this guy. First of all, I see this guy. It goes like this. First, they ignore you. So you got to break through they don't even see you. You guys that own a business and you're worried about, should I put my price? Should I put my inventory? What should I talk about? Don't worry about any of that. Nobody's even going to see you in the beginning. The first thing you need to worry about is being seen. You're invisible. Nobody knows you. And if I don't know you, I can't, no matter how good your business is, I can't do business with you. And the first place people are going to search today is online. So if I get your name and somebody says, check with Peng, he's a great guy, he lives in Malaysia, he's over there doing great things, I'm going to go who is the dude?
Right.
I'm going to search you, and if I can't find you, then guess what? I'm going to be like, okay, why can't I find this dude? What's he hiding from? And so I would just tell every business owner out there, this is not about a personality. Every personality type is going to be admired by a similar personality type. And the question is, can you start to vary those personalities so that you can bring attention to your inventory, your pricing, your opportunities, jobs? I'll get as much business advertising for jobs as I will trying to sell a product. So there's so many different ways to do this, but most of us throw in the towel because we didn't have that first pillar in, which was the decision to scale.
Right.
If you hadn't made a decision to scale 10 times bigger than you are right now, you're not going to do the marketing. And if you don't do the marketing, you're never going to have the sales. And if you don't do the marketing and the sales, you're never going to be able to scale the business, so you're not in it. So because the goal one day is to be an investor, and that you're traveling around the world, and your business is hopefully producing more money than if you were working in the business. So marketing is critical, bro. Like there's no great businesses on the planet that have ever, that we know the names of, that did not become marketing geniuses.
So I'm going to end this portion here with one thing that I learned from Grant. I think it was about a year plus ago. And it was just this one random thing where you said, I'm doing this not to be liked, but to be known.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. And that to me was such a huge thing for me. It was just said in jest.
Yeah.
But for me, it was I get it now. It's because chances are for some of you guys that's watching this video, you're going, oh man, but I got this hate comment today, and somebody's, these critics or trolls.
Yeah.
And when you remind yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I marketing this thing on social media?
You're not doing it for likes. You can't eat likes. You can't feed your kids with likes. You can't buy shoes with likes. You can't go on a vacation because of people that like you. By the way, the people that like you today will not like you tomorrow. And the people that don't like you today will literally start liking you and buying from you in the future. They just don't know you yet. So this is the order. And we're going to spend 2 days just on this marketing piece. That's why it's so important. Number one, they're going to ignore you. Then they're going to laugh at you. They're going to be like, that's whatever, right? It's just going to be a slight little, I don't know if I agree with that, okay? They're going to slightly pay attention to you. Most of it will be negative. 3, they're going to start criticizing. They don't like what you're doing and they disregard it. The people that like you will actually not, the people that agree will not get on board in the beginning. It's the people that disagree. 3rd thing they're going to do is criticize you. 4th thing they're going to do, this criticism is going to turn into something bigger because you're getting hot. Now it's going to turn into a threat. You said something they don't like. Now they want to comment. Now for some reason there's something going on now that they actually hate your content. This is the gateway, the door to admiration. The 5th thing that will happen is admiration, monetization. People start doing business with you.
And this one thing that you probably don't know, and that's pretty much something that happened for me, is when I saw that side of you. And that was when, during San Diego, there was a few people lingering outside the room, and they wanted to come into the room. And I saw that part of you where you went outside, and you asked them to come in. And that to me is wow, you don't know this, but that was when that admiration that you just talked about really kicked in. It's wow, I've never seen that side of Grant. And I can tell you that probably 98% of people on social media probably have not seen a side of you.
Yeah, because look, I'm and you're going to have the same problem when you start playing on social media or TV or radio. You're trying to get attention.
Yeah.
You're trying to get your ad dollar to work. If you're spending money on ad dollars now, social media is free. So now it even becomes more competitive because there's a billion people literally doing all kinds of stuff on the internet, on social media to get attention. You got Andrew Tate right now, he gets a lot of attention because he was banned.
It's 2 G's now.
You got Donald Trump that's going to run for president again. Right. He's going to get massive worldwide attention because he's so polarizing. Yeah. Who else do you have in the news today? These are
you got strippers and bikinis and
totally, bro. I can't compete with 23-year-old buns, and strippers and pornography. I can't, but you guys are all having to compete with these things. Football on the weekends. The number one most viewed TV in this country, in America, is, I think the top 3 or 4 or 5 slots is NFL football. I can't compete with that. Now you got soccer, the FIFA going off right now. So you guys, all that is costing you money because money follows attention. Did I say it wrong? FIFA? FIFA. Yeah, I just say FIFA. I say, why don't you just call it soccer, worldwide, right? So, but you see, they haven't got my attention enough.
Right.
They haven't gotten my attention enough for me to even know how to, and they spend billions of dollars, okay, and got lots of eyeballs. So the point is, back to the decision. I want to take care of my family. I want to create wealth for my family. I don't want to create a sense of like I'm worried about how to pay the bills. I got to a point where I'm like, I want to do something. And I want to do something that people are proud of. And I want to help a lot of people. How can I do that if nobody knows me?
Yep.
So that thing is marketing. You got to get marketing. And today it's free. It does require courage, and it requires consistency. It requires frequency and creativity.
Yeah.
But we'll show everybody how to do that in this Unbreakable.
Let's move on to the third one, right? The third piece, you want to talk about sales or communication first?
Probably sales.
Sales. Let's talk sales, right? So when it comes to sales, here's the thing. I've heard you say on a podcast that I'll probably shall not mention the name, but it rhymes with Jordan Belfort.
Yeah.
But you came from an angle of like, make marketing so great that when it comes to sales, you can just come from an angle of, I got fish, and that's
I got fish,
pitch.
man. Who wants fish? Who wants fish?
fish?
You know, and everybody like evolved people understood what I was saying.
Yeah.
Now, if you're stuck in a sales job and you're knocking on doors like I was for 20 years, and you're just knocking on doors, you're always going to look for the right thing to say. You say I'm not interested, and I say ba-ba-dee-ga-da-ga-da, and now all of a sudden you're magically interested. I mean, look, Jordan can never ever fix his brand. He just can't do it because you know when you go to prison, you're a fraud, and then you snitch on people. Like nobody's ever gonna like you because of that. Like you just violated 3 of the most important. Don't violate the law. Number 2, pay people back you didn't, and 3, you snitched on your best friends. That's the third thing's the worst thing. So he's stuck in a sales job because he can't spend enough money to fix his image. I don't have those things going against me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to market. And I was stuck in this sales thing. Like I admitted to you earlier, like I was a sales guy, but I've never met a billionaire sales guy ever. When I was in France this year and I'm on a 200-foot yacht and a 220's next to me, a 240's next to that, a 280, a 300, a 390, and a 400. I said, what do these people do? None of them said, I'm a commission salesman.
So for the typical viewer watching right now, what is something about sales that most people don't know but should when it comes to sales?
You need, first of all, you want to increase the quantity of people you have to talk to. Now everybody knows that. I need more people to talk to. When you experience rejection as a salesperson, that is a problem for a lot of salespeople. Rejection, discouragement, disappointment. It is because your funnel's broken. It's not because your sales are broken. This is what I was trying to tell this guy. I'm like, bro, like, if you have to know the right perfect thing to say to that person at that perfect time, you have a broken funnel. It is not a word track. There's no magical word track. Everybody knows this intuitively. There's no perfect word track that I can say that somehow makes you a qualified buyer now for my product at this moment. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. If you're not the decision maker, you're not the decision maker. If you don't have a need, I can't sell it to you. You do not sell ice to an Eskimo. He's got ice all around him. Right. It's a myth.
So get more leads, more appointments.
Yeah, you need more. You need a bigger funnel, and you need frequency in that funnel. People like you're the go-to guy. Like if you're the GOAT, you're going to get the business and you're going to get the margin. So the thing, we're going to go back to number 2 again, bro. If you look, I want to be able to walk through the wine garden and just touch trees or bushes and have grapes fall off. Mm-hmm. I want all that fruit to just fall into my hands. I don't want to have to climb the tree to get it off. And this is the problem with sales. Most of us, all the way back to Tom Hopkins, Brian Tracy, guys that taught me. Mm-hmm. Look, there's no magical miracle. And I'm considered one of the top sales training companies in the world. And I'm just telling you, if you want to make your sales easy, and we'll talk about this in the Unbreakable Challenge, how to create product and inventory and pricing that is so compelling that people's offers that are so compelling that people are like, hey man, I want that thing that Grant just offered. Because that's really what you want your sales team. You can scale a sales team that is taking an order easier than you could scale a sales team that are great at handling objections.
That's amazing. So once so fill up the pipelines, get more people into the funnel.
Make a decision, fill up the pipeline. Now, hey man, you got to train your salespeople how to take that order. Like there's a lot of little tricks you can do in sales, like sending people to specific numbers. I've raised almost $1 billion in cash over the internet. And then what we'll do is we'll be like, hey, if you have $100,000 or less, text this number. If you have 100 to 250, text this number. If you have money coming from a retirement account, text this number. Why? Because when the person that sees that call come in on that number, they know, oh, you're calling about the IRA account. Oh, you're calling because you have $1 million. Oh, you're calling because you have.
So segment your audience so you know exactly what's the right message to market.
Yeah, exactly. The sales lead that's coming in can be handled by the appropriate person with the greeting. Because the greeting shouldn't be about sports, politics, and weather.
Right.
Okay, it should be, oh, how you feeling today? Oh, thank you for calling. No, it should be like, what can I get you information on? So what we want to do is we want to take the sales process and we will either want to succeed or fail in it in a quarter of the time. Because time is money for them and for you.
So you can compress. And that's why your calls online is like 15-minute sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to number 4. Let's talk about communication.
Yeah.
What does somebody need to know about communication in order to make their business unbreakable?
Look, if you want money, you want trips, you want whatever it is you want in life, people have it. And someday, somewhere around 45 years old, I'm like, the people that are in my life now are not going to be the people that change my life. I knew how to communicate with the people in my life. I did not know how to communicate with people that were not in my life. I didn't know how to communicate with the guy in the cab, the guy on the elevator. I didn't know how to communicate on the internet. That's why I resisted social media. I'm like, I don't know how to do this thing. I'm 51 years old before I did my first post on YouTube. I didn't want to do it because I didn't know how to do it. Any more like, if I don't know how to dance, I don't want to go out and dance, man. But if I'm a killer dancer and somebody plays some music, I'm be like, boom, let's go. I'll dance with everybody in the room, right? Because I know how to dance or ski or whatever the case is. So the things you don't know how to do, you resist doing. And then you make excuses for not doing it. And the communication thing, man, the ability to communicate with anyone about any topic comfortably, whether you have 10 seconds, 20 seconds, those are harder to do, by the way, than 20 minutes.
Yep.
I give somebody 10 minutes on a stage in front of 34,000 people, they're going to be like, oh my God, you got to figure out how to get that message. This is why I partnered with Pete Vargas, okay? How to create and craft messages. 1 minute, 3 minute, 30 minute, 3-hour presentations. You might have to do a 3-hour presentation.
So crafting your communication, your messaging, so that the world, the public, whether it's on social media, whether it's on your sales video, whether it's on a webinar, they understand what it is that you do and the results you help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how to be able to create content.
Yep.
So it's fresh, it looks fresh, sounds fresh, it's relevant.
And that's the thing, it's practice, isn't it? Like for me, I know that even an interview, like a podcasting session, like, this would have been terrifying to me just 10 years ago. Yeah. Like there's no way I could have done it. And I would have come with some excuse to why I couldn't do it, or I would be busy.
And doing the interview could sometimes be, first of all, what he's doing right now is a great collaborative way to use to build a network and to market and to make sales and to collaborate with other people, so you start pulling my audience. But being interviewed is a different kind of communication than doing the interview.
Yeah.
And people should be doing both of those.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up with number 5 when it comes to scale, right? Scaling. So let me begin with like, at what point is enough? Like when is it enough? I mean, I'm sure you get this question a lot. Like,
I get this is bro, one of the number one biggest questions, like, bro, when you're gonna kick it? When you're gonna be done? Like, well, I'm not even close. So, I am personally motivated by my decisions. It's not my kids, it's not my wife, it's what I want to do. Like, I'm not going to abandon my dreams.
So what's the dream?
I want to be in some other industries that frustrate me. So some other things that bug me out, like, healthcare. I think we don't take care of people properly. You go to your grandparents' medicine cabinet and open it up, and you're going to, at least in America, you're going to see rows and rows and rows of medicines that are unnecessary. Blood thinners, medicine to handle the blood thinner response, to everything from every problem that people can have is just medicine. So I want to influence that. TV, I think TV is terrible.
Yep.
Most of my friends think TV is garbage. Most of the young kids have given up on TV. Okay, even the Netflixes, it's hard to even find a good channel. And they got 1,000. They've spent billions of dollars there, and the content sucks. So I want to do some TV stuff. It's not all about money.
Sure. So you're gonna just dominate everything then. There's no finish line.
I don't know if I want to dominate, but I do want to. I want to make a contribution to the things that I complain about, like the banking system. Okay, I'm always ragging on Blackstone and BlackRock and Goldman and JP. That is my little. That's me talking to me about becoming those guys. That's what I always do. By the way, I always precursor what I'm going to do. Everybody, like if you just listen to what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to become one of those guys. I mean, I know that sounds arrogant, but I want to transform. People in the future will not even know me as a sales guy or a real estate guy. Like 100 years from now, you'll know me as a bank. You'll be like, hey man, I bank at Cardone. So to me, all that it's nothing to do with money, man, or celebrity or any of that. It's about, can I do it? It's the journey. And that's what people should be excited about, man. You guys walking into 2023 right now. What's the dream? What's the passion? Not the motivation. What's the thing that's gonna I'd walk on glass to achieve that? What gets you so excited that you're like, you know what? This is worth it. And that's what we want to do in these 5 days, get people really lit up. So 2023 is a great year for them.
So for scaling then, to summarize, should somebody be working on people, process, systems?
Yes.
Ultimately, what's the game plan for scale?
The scale thing, going back to the decision, you can't have this Phil mentality. My buddy Phil that said, hey, bigger's not better. Bigger is better. The only people that say bigger is not better are the people that quit on bigger. Okay, trust me, bigger is better. It's easier. Okay, it's less problems. More employees are not a problem. Once you get to the right number of employees, you won't have an employee problem. The reason so many small businesses, their number one complaint is my people, man. I can't. My people are a problem. I'm like, because you don't have enough of them. So what you want to do is you want to scale problems. You want to 10x your problems. You want your problems, rather than having 6 bad people, you want to have 6,000 bad people. Because now you won't even know their names, man. You'd be like, there's another bad one, there's another bad one, and another one. Amazon's got, I don't know, a couple million employees. How many of them you think are bad? A bunch. They still make a lot of money, right? And so to scale means, in 2023, for instance, it might be easier for you to buy 10 businesses in 2023 than it would be to even grow your business 10%. So we're going to be working with a lot of people say, how would you like to have 10 stores this year? You've had 1 for the last 6 years. How about we go to 11 stores this year and you don't even grow the one you have, but you 10x your business.
Yeah.
And that'll be a lot easier to do in 2023 because of the opportunities that are going to come because of a world recession.
And that brings us to the challenge, right? So for 5 days, you want to talk about what's going to happen?
Yeah, 5 days, we're going to be walking through these points, okay? How to make that decision, to find and discover what you're supposed to be doing on this planet, because it's not a small thing. What you're supposed to be doing is not a small thing. There's no superpower or spiritual intellect would ever waste their time creating us to just simply sleep and eat. We're supposed to be here to do something better than that, okay? So number 1, the decision. Number 2, we're going to talk about marketing. This marketing thing, I'm telling you, it's the holy grail. Once you make a decision, then you got to follow that up with how can I get people to know me and know my purpose and know my brand? Like, how can people know you as well as they know Jesus or Mother Teresa or, Gandhi? I don't even know if Gandhi was a good guy or not, but I know his name. Martin Luther King. Who are some of the greats in your country?
Sure, lots of them. I mean, ultimately, I think that it's about, not who we know, but who knows us.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You're exactly right. Who knows me is more important than who I know. So that when you guys fly to America, you come into Miami, and I'm like, dude, you come in town. I saw your Instagram or something. You come into town. Hey, let me hook you up. So that's power, right?
Yeah.
So number 2, we'll talk about marketing for about a day and a half, actually. Okay, everything from social media marketing to paid marketing to branding to literally how could you become the predominant name in your space, even if you're a waitress or an Uber driver or whatever. Third thing we'll talk about is how do I start monetizing my process and not dropping my mic. Okay, how can I do that so many times? I'm supposed to be a professional. How do I monetize, man? How do you actually get money? Because if you don't get money, money is the lifeblood of any organization or any mission. You have to have money coming in. We don't want you to not monetize. I know there's guys out there that are like, don't monetize.
Because they're afraid. They're afraid of like, what if I'm so seen as a sellout because I'm now trying to monetize this thing?
Yeah. You're doing your clients a disservice when you do that.
Agreed.
Okay, it's a mistake. We've done over $1 billion worth of sales over the internet. I'll show you guys exactly how I've done $200 million worth of sales on the internet. Most of it with organic, not paid advertising.
So each day we're going to be covering one pillar.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's going to happen after that?
And then it's like communication. How do you build a stage? How do you keep an audience? How do you do them in person? How do you do them online? How do you use Zoom? Like people are using Zoom right now and they're missing this unbelievable opportunity.
Selling one to many.
Exactly, okay? How do you build out your inventory and your offers and your pricing? I'm telling you, it's $1 billion worth of advice over 5 days. And the fifth day, we're going to talk about how do you execute and then scale and keep this thing going so it just doesn't fall. It's not just another exciting 3 or 4 days and then you.
So here's the thing, guys. I've been here for the last couple of days. I've seen behind the scenes to the operations, the sales team, hang out with Grant and his team. And I can tell you, like, everything I'm seeing over here behind the scenes is linked to the challenge, to the pillars every single day. I'm going to be personally participating. I'm going to be watching. I want to be able to see exactly the same things that I'm going to be working together with you guys. And, hopefully we'll be participating in this challenge together.
Yeah. And anything we can do to help you, support you, keep you on this. I love what this guy's doing. I'm going to help him grow his brand. We want to help you guys grow your brand. Show up for this, okay? I promise you, it's $1 billion worth of advice. If you ever dreamed of, making a big play or like there's something out there bigger waiting for you, I promise you there is, number one. Number two, you have to have a strategy to obtain that.
All right, so guys, the challenge is free. Click the link, all right? Get registered. We'll see you there.